in Indian Wells. Look at this. I mean, this was in Australia. Court 6 literally had a line. I know I'm exaggerating, but it went for miles at the Aussie. It was wild scenes there. Allie, can you remember a women's star who gets this type of support wherever she goes?
Yeah, well, Taylor Swift. I mean,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, it is on the level of Taylor Swift. We have a 21-year-old from the Philippines doing things that world number ones and Grand Slam winners simply cannot replicate. She is packing stadiums to capacity, crashing the internet, and forcing tournament directors to stay up at night worrying about the sheer scale of the crowds. Experts are now openly debating whether she has become the single biggest draw in women's tennis today. We are not talking about the best player, but the biggest attraction. Those are two very different conversations to have. Do you believe Alex Eala is already the most electrifying name in the sport right now? Put your ranking logic aside for a moment, and let us know what you think in the comments section below.
I'd have to say maybe a little bit of Sania Mirza. Back in her heyday, obviously the Indian fans took to her and they followed her all around the globe, obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm going to bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game. And alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money. So I think that if Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court. I mean, she could be rolling in it, if you will.
Yeah. Let's start with a number that has no business being real. Alex Eala's pre-tournament press conference at the
For comparison, Novak Djokovic pulled in 80,000. Aryna Sabalenka brought in only 9,000. Take a moment and read those numbers again very slowly if you need to process them. The world number one female player, a multiple Grand Slam winner who crushes opponents with terrifying power, drew only 9,000 views. Eala drew nearly 20 times that amount. Nobody in the tennis establishment is trying to pretend that this is a normal or expected statistic. On top of that, she has a smile that can truly light up an entire room. I vividly remember last year when she defeated Swiatek. She handled that massive victory with such incredible grace and genuine humility. For me, it was absolutely wonderful to see her claim that win and then watch her continue to evolve and progress because I truly admire her game. Obviously, she is hungry for much more than she has already achieved. She wants to climb much higher than her current ranking of 32 in the world. She possesses incredible hand-eye coordination and the talent to take the ball early and redirect play. The fan engagement is always the most exciting part for me because when you see athletes from smaller nations rise, the passion is unmatched. It is interesting that Ali brought up Sania Mirza. She currently has nearly 13 million followers on Instagram. That is 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz, and almost as many as Alcaraz and Sabalenka combined. That shows you the massive scale of Sania's legacy. However, Eala is about to be seeded for the first time at a 1,000-level event as we wait to see her second-round opponent. Take a close look at the draw because this is exactly what the sophisticated conversation surrounding Alex Eala looks like in 2026. The rhetoric is no longer cautious or carefully measured, moving away from the usual diplomatic scripts of the tennis media. We have moved far past the point of describing her with the same old cliches about having a bright future. Former professional stars Sam Querrey and Steve Johnson recently sat down to voice the question that has been on everyone's mind. They asked point blank if Alex Eala is the biggest draw in the women's game today, and Johnson's answer was a firm yes. It was not a hesitant maybe or a suggestion that she is getting close. It was a definitive and absolute yes. That particular answer deserves some deep analysis, because the term biggest draw carries a very specific weight in sports. It is not a synonym for being the best player or having the highest ranking. It is about who actually puts people in the seats. When you look at the landscape in 2026, the argument for Eala being that person is incredibly hard to challenge. Let us revisit Australia for a moment, because that is where this tidal wave of expert attention truly began to crest. The atmosphere surrounding Eala's matches was described as nothing short of wild by those on the ground, with lines stretching forever. There were massive crowds turning up that simply could not be explained if you were only looking at her official ranking. A player who was ranked outside the top 30 was generating the kind of electricity usually reserved for a major championship final. The Filipino fan base was out in full force, and it felt less like a standard tennis match and more like a high-energy concert. To put things in perspective, this kind of national passion is not entirely new to the world of professional sports, but the sheer magnitude of what we are seeing with Eala is making it hard for experts to find any comparable precedents. When asked to name another female star who receives this kind of global traveling support, analysts had to think long and hard. One commentator pointed to Sania Mirza, and that is a very serious comparison to make when you consider her legacy. Mirza had an entire nation following her every move, and currently has 13 million followers, which is 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz. That is the definition of true cultural impact, and yet the experts are now suggesting that Eala's ceiling is even higher. Another analyst in the room brought up the name Manny Pacquiao, which tells you exactly how high this conversation has shifted. At the absolute height of his powers, Pacquiao was one of the most famous and recognizable human beings on the planet. Every time he fought, it was a massive national event that brought the entire country of the Philippines to a complete standstill. The whole nation would adjust their schedules to watch him, and his commercial earnings were right there alongside Roger Federer. When tennis experts start using Manny Pacquiao as their primary point of comparison, you know we have left the usual territory behind. And it is important to realize that these are not just the opinions of excited fans on the internet. These statements are coming from former professionals and seasoned analysts who have spent their entire lives watching the sport of tennis. Now, we need to take a closer look at what exactly is driving this incredible surge in popularity. This level of fan devotion does not just happen by accident, and it is certainly not based purely on a sense of national pride. There is a very specific and rare combination of factors surrounding Eala that the tennis world has never quite seen before. It starts with her personal story, which began when she left home to develop her world-class game at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She developed her world-class skills in the high-pressure environment of Spain, far from her family and her home. She climbed through the junior ranks, collected major titles, and then began the grueling transition to the professional tour. This is the exact stage where many junior phenoms unfortunately fade into the background and disappear from the spotlight. The path from a junior standout to a legitimate presence on the women's tour is unforgiving, yet she navigated it successfully. When she overcame the reigning world number 1, Iga Swiatek, it was a victory that fundamentally changed the narrative. It was not just about the upset itself, but the way she carried herself in the aftermath of that historic win. She displayed a level of poise, self-assurance, and genuine modesty that told the world she truly belonged on that stage. That kind of character creates a deep, lasting connection with the audience that marketing money simply cannot buy. Beyond her personality, she represents a massive and largely underserved market in the world of professional tennis. Southeast Asia has become one of the most explosive regions for sports media and digital engagement on the globe. International sporting organizations have spent years trying to figure out how to tap into this incredible commercial goldmine. Eala is the personification of that market, making her one of the most valuable assets in the game today. When fans travel across entire continents just to watch her play, they are doing much more than just appreciating a sport. It is a moment of profound cultural representation occurring at the most elite levels of an individual competition. There is an undeniable power in seeing someone from your own background competing and winning on the global stage. That kind of emotional connection is not driven by numbers on a ranking sheet. It is fueled by a sense of identity. In the modern landscape of 2026, a strong sense of identity can move the needle faster than anything else. But we must also acknowledge that her actual technical skills on the court are remarkably high and effective. Fame without the game is usually a very short-lived story, but Eala has the substance to back up all the hype. Her technical proficiency is top tier, and her instincts during a match are something truly special to witness. Her hand-eye coordination is off the charts, allowing her to handle even the most difficult shots with incredible ease. She has this rare ability to take the ball early and change the direction of play before her opponent can even react. This is not just about being flashy. It is about using structural advantages to dismantle players who are ranked much higher. She started 2026 with incredible momentum, making a deep run in Dubai and hitting a career-high rank of 31. Now she is heading into Indian Wells, one of the most prestigious tournaments, with the benefit of a first-round bye. With a solid season record of 10 wins and 6 losses, it is clear that she is consistently building toward greatness. This is not just some viral trend featuring a social media star who cannot actually win a match on the court. Her professional results are trending upward at the exact same time. Her public profile is exploding worldwide. From a purely business and structural perspective, this is where her story becomes truly fascinating for the entire industry. Tournament organizers across the Middle East and Southeast Asia are now comparing her drawing power to that of Manny Pacquiao. Novak Djokovic, a man who has witnessed every high and low in this sport, is notoriously difficult to impress. He is a legend who does not easily hand out praise or get swept up in the latest media trends. Yet, he has explicitly labeled the massive surge of interest surrounding her as a good problem for the game of tennis. When a figure like Djokovic describes your following as a positive challenge for the sport, it carries immense weight. It signifies that you have transcended the typical boundaries and entered an entirely different category of stardom. The sheer volume of fans is already causing significant logistical hurdles for major tournament organizers. Attendance for her early rounds is consistently blowing past the capacity that venue infrastructures were designed to handle. Management teams are suddenly facing scenarios they never saw coming and were not prepared to manage properly. This is all because a player ranked outside the top 30 is creating a level of demand usually reserved for the elite tier. With Indian Wells on the horizon, the anticipation from those tracking these metrics is reaching a fever pitch. Everyone expects the Filipino community to turn out in massive, organized numbers to support their hero. The recurring comparison that analysts cannot stop making involves the legendary Sania Mirza. They are looking at the profound impact she had on Indian tennis and the global sporting community at large. Mirza essentially provided the blueprint for how a player from a developing tennis nation can achieve worldwide fame. She proved that a player could cultivate a global following that persists long after they stop competing professionally. Her 13 million Instagram followers are not just a result of her winning matches on the court. They exist because she represented something much larger than a sport to an incredibly passionate and loyal community. She was a transformative cultural icon who just happened to be an elite professional tennis player. Now, experts are boldly claiming that Eala possesses an even higher potential for this kind of influence. They are not being careful or using qualifiers. They are stating clearly that her potential is simply greater. The current data points and engagement numbers fully support this ambitious way of looking at her career. Pulling 171,000 views for a press conference compared to 80,000 for Djokovic is no accident. That is a clear and undeniable message from the fans about exactly who they are tuning in to watch. We must also consider the digital reality, as that is where the future of sports marketing is being decided. This is the space where the next generation of sports enthusiasts spends the vast majority of their time. This demographic will ultimately define the commercial success and cultural relevance of tennis for decades to come. They are the ones deciding which athletes are worth following and which stories are worth sharing with the world. Eala is a true digital native who understands this environment and navigates it with natural ease. She excels at creating short-form videos and providing the kind of real-time, behind-the-scenes access fans crave. She possesses the specific type of platform presence that can turn a simple match point into a viral cultural phenomenon. Eala is a 21-year-old rising star whose trajectory is incredibly exciting to witness for fans and experts alike. She is climbing the rankings at the exact moment her cultural profile is exploding on the international stage. At 21, her physical and technical development still has an enormous amount of room for future growth. If her results on the court continue to trend upward with deep runs at major events, the sky is the limit. Wins over top 10 players and consistent performance would turn her ranking of 31 into a top 10 spot quickly. The combination of elite performance and cultural influence would create something the women's game has never seen. She is not just a great player with fans. She is an entire movement backed by one of the world's most passionate nations. Performing at the highest level allows her to reach a global broadcast audience of millions every single week. As the experts keep emphasizing, the ceiling for her impact on the sport of tennis is incredibly high. In early 2026, the floor is already impressive enough to make tournament directors rethink their entire logistical plans. Eala has officially transcended the boundaries of a typical tennis story to become a global viewership phenomenon. She is a cultural icon and a crowd management challenge, which is truly the best kind of problem for any sport to have. If you want to see more deep dives into the players who are truly moving the needle in tennis today, hit like and subscribe. There is so much more to come from this incredible athlete, and you will not want to miss a single moment.